let's talk about content creation in jiu-jitsu.
Let's do it.
Um, so I feel like a lot of people, we're all obsessed with jiu-jitsu, and we like to make videos about it and post them on the socials, get the likes, all that kind of stuff. But aside from just like documenting our own journeys and stuff like that, why do you think content creation is or can be important? And does it depend on the person? And I guess we can start there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely depends on the person and what's important to them. From a business perspective, if you are the owner of a school or in my case, a gym who serves the jiu-jitsu community, or in Josh's case, a content creator, it's marketing. Like, content is marketing, and it's how you're going to get in front of as many people as humanly possible that believe in the things that you believe in. So I think if you put it aside or don't value it appropriately, or don't place the appropriate value on content creation, then I think you're missing a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to like differentiate who the people are who are making the content, right? So if you're like an athlete who wants to start, I don't know, getting like brand deals or something, and you're trying to figure out how to make content for that, that's one thing, versus somebody else who's just like, as I said a second ago, like documenting their journey, versus like a business or like an actual gym owner. For the people who are interested in doing more than just like documenting their jiu-jitsu, and who maybe want to get like brand deals and make money on YouTube and things like that, and gym owners, I want to talk about like how you should, not necessarily the technical tools yet for making content, but what you should focus on when making content.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big difference in, or I think a shift that you have to make in the, how do you say this? A shift in how you look at the content that you're making. Because it's easy to make the content be about yourself, and which is cool for like you and your friends, but it's not something that's providing value to other people. So it's like, to me, it's a question of how do you make stuff that's valuable to other people. And you can be a character in the thing, but ultimately people watch stuff that provides some sort of value proposition to them.
Yeah.
But what do you think on that?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think every piece of content that anybody makes, if it is for the aforementioned purposes, i.e. business related, whether that's for an individual or a company, should provide value. That's like the number one thing that has to happen is you have to help somebody. And then underneath that, there are three ways that I think you can go about it. And that's to educate, entertain, or inspire. Those are like the three, like every piece of content that you make should satisfy at least one of those things. And if you are able, hopefully 2 or 3, if you hit 3, you get all of them, then, that's a gold mine typically. But providing value and then doing it, by way of entertainment, education, or inspiration.
Interesting. Yeah, it makes me think about like, because there's I think the typical type of content that people initially, all right, okay, my own story. I think I guess we can talk about our kind of like how we've started making videos and stuff.
Yep.
So for example, with me, when I started like competing back a couple years ago, I just started making little videos of like my matches and stuff. And this was just because that was like fun to do. And like you want like cool highlight reels and everything. But ultimately what happens is like, if you want to make the shift from just, actually, let me back up and just tell the story. So I was just making all these videos. Some of them would be funny. We would make some together, like these little skits and everything. And ultimately the shift that happened was like, that allowed me to like reach a bigger audience. And what that means is like your follower count starts growing. The subscribers on YouTube start growing, that kind of thing, is when I got back from Portugal, because last year I was like the whole nomad thing and everything, and Portugal was like the last stop on the way, at the end of that sort of journey. And I got back here, and the shift I made was, one, I wanted to start making a video every single day just to get better at making videos. And second, I wanted to see if like if there was a way, or I guess I wanted to see if there's a way to give value in each one of those videos. And what I realized is like you're not giving value to people by posting highlights of yourself, right? But it's like, what's the word for that? We were talking about like sensational. There was like a there's like a word for that. It's
I'm blanking on it, but I know what you mean.
yeah, there's a certain type of content that's like inherently interesting. So like if you see Tynan Dalpra do a gator roll, like that's a cool video to watch,
Right.
right? But
Is that because of his status, like
Yeah.
the level that he's at? Even though it's a highlight and it's of him, it still matters to people. But like for most people, that's not the case. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like the main thing is like like there's something that's inherently exciting about that, and you have to accurately assess like the subject matter. So like, me doing a gator roll in a match is not cool. Like it's cool for me and like my immediate friends or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, check this out. But if you're looking to like provide value to people and reach a larger audience, that underlying thing can be the subject matter of the video, but the overall theme of the video has to provide some kind of value, right? And how do you provide that value? In the case of like a video of Tynan Dalpra doing a gator roll, the value is just that's inherently spectacular, right? It's just cool to watch because it's an elite athlete doing this thing at an elite level.
Yeah. Was spectacle the word?
I think it might be spectacle.
That sounds, it's ringing a bell.
Yeah, spectacle videos.
Okay.
And I think that's the biggest shift. I think that like helped me at least understand how to like start giving value to people through videos. And the shift is because I was in a unique position to have like, I think it's like 66 tournaments or something. Like last year I made this video that was just talking about, the competition frequency that I did last year, which was like 132 matches just in 2023 or something. And I didn't realize this, but what that did when I started telling stories about that and talking about my experience at competitions and stuff, little by little, I started like getting messages and comments from people saying that this has inspired them in some way to like compete more. People, we were talking about this the whole time as like this was happening. People were getting like inspired by that and wanting to go compete themselves and things like that. And then I realized the value that I can help provide to people in whatever small way is just through this like relatively unique experience that I've gone through, and I can pass on some of those lessons. Even though I'm a blue belt, I can't it's not like I can give technique advice, but what I can give to people, or a segment of what I can give to people is that competition experience, I think.
Yeah.
And that'll continue to evolve and change, right?
Absolutely.
As I keep doing jiu-jitsu and everything, but that's like one way. Like I happen to be the subject matter in that thing, but it's really not about me anymore. It's about like what you can give to other people, I think.
Right. And I think that's useful advice for anybody looking to start making content is you don't necessarily need to be, quote, an expert in the field. You just need to position your message to the people to the person you were 2 or 3 years ago. Right? You don't need to be the absolute best in the world in order to make something. Just think of who you were before you knew what you know now, and then teach them, right? Like that's a totally acceptable way, and like it's the way anybody does anything, right? Like, so I think that's maybe useful. It's just useful for people who are maybe scared to do something. They're like, well, so and so is like way better, and so then they're gonna say something, and so what does it mean if I say it? Well, everybody's got their different voice, and everybody's gonna have their audience. Everybody's gonna have people who are kind of attracted to that voice, and I think if you keep in mind not only providing value, doing it the ways we talked about, entertain, educate, and inspire, and then aim that message at somebody, just the person you were, I think is just really valuable. So.
Yeah, I think another way to say that is, yeah, you don't have to be the best in the world, but what you can do is pass along the things that you've learned
Yeah.
to other people.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Like to me, I found the way to do that is through storytelling. Like I think that's if you think about it, like why do people listen to stories? Why do people read stories? Why do people watch movies? It's because like either you're entertained, like if you're watching like Anchorman or some shit, right?
That's not an educational film.
It's a documentary. Is it not? But I think because like stories kind of have the ability to like change the way people look at things, and you can like extract lessons from those things, right? Because like really good stories have really good internal conflict and debate, and it makes you think about something. There's like that's the crux of every story is some kind of debate, right? So like in the context of like jujitsu competition or something, it's like what's a like how do you handle winning versus losing, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a big question.
Yeah.
And any good story that you've had, like if you've competed, what you've learned by competing, if you can express that through a story, you don't have to be an expert in like psychology or competition or like it's all about just passing along your experience and like lessons you've learned, and
Yep.
people can use that as information to understand these debates. Everything in life is, I'm using the word debate. Debate's not really the right word, but like so there's always a conflict. That's what
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm getting at. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like storytelling, yeah, you don't have to be an expert unless you're teaching jujitsu.
Where did you go to learn more about storytelling? Like what resources, if you have any?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Well, so what happened?
Elaborate, please.
Well, so I forget exactly how. So what? It wasn't ChatGPT, by the way, but you can use ChatGPT to help. Like, actually, we should get to ChatGPT in a second because this is an interesting thing. But just like on YouTube, there's like different channels and stuff. One of them is Studio Binder. I really like that channel. They give different videos on. They're devoted to like filmmaking and stuff, you know. And they do all kinds of things, but one type of video they do is like how to tell stories and stuff like that. And I don't know, a bunch of videos like that. It's like a base. I'm not an expert in storytelling, but like there's a few different frameworks for telling stories, right? There's a basic like 3-act structure. Some people call it like the 4-act structure. And then you can break down those structures into even more fine-grained structure. Like there's this thing called the Save the Cat beat sheet. I forget exactly where it comes from, but there's the author basically outlines a structure for telling stories that I think followed the story of saving a cat or something. But anyway, what it is, it's like an outline, a structure for how to tell a story. And it goes all the way from like the opening image, the theme, like I actually use that for like pretty much all my videos.
Okay.
Just cause that helps me think about how to organize a story.
Okay.
But there's people who are much bigger experts on storytelling.
That's okay. Just teach the person you were like before you knew about stories.
Right. It's like you have like some sort of something that you want to communicate to people. And it's like, how do you communicate that in an engaging way that keeps people wanting to listen to it, and that is paced in such a way where they'll feel like they can listen to the whole story, and they'll have some kind of expectation of where the story might go, but they still might be surprised at the end. They still might be thrown for a loop or whatever.
Okay.
It's like we can all experience a very similar thing, but the way that we communicate that through a video, for example, is going to greatly change the way I think that somebody will receive that information.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about like, yeah, telling an engaging story. And it changes a lot for social media too, and YouTube, like the way that you have to format those.
Yeah. Yeah, because the time constraint, is that what you're getting after?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that with, I guess, shifting gears real quick from like how like, okay, so I guess that was just one method for making videos, right? Is storytelling. There's others that you mentioned, but I guess if we want to shift gears into like your experience of how you started making videos and what it means to make them for like social media.
Yeah. Well, I should preface this by saying I'm lucky that I have Josh in my corner because he is what I would consider an experienced video editor. And so as I have started to delve into this realm, I've been able to gain feedback as, you know, as I make something, I'll send it off and he'll send me back, notes on it, and then I can make changes. And I feel like that has helped immensely in my development as a video editor or creator, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I want to say too, actually, that you're like a perfect example where I think you kind of started from ground zero of video editing. Right?
Oh yeah,
like you had
none, zero
experience. And if you go back, if you guys go to the Victory Submission Strength or just your profile,
yeah,
and like you could go to mine too. Like if you go all the way back, just scroll all the way down.
Yeah,
you can like progression of
yeah.
skill is so obvious.
Oh,
it's like, and I think that's just how it is for everybody. We can talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Consistency. Let me actually write that down.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say that you're a great example because like I think what happened was I had started editing videos before you,
Yeah.
so I was learning how to do it, and then passing along the little things that were working.
Exactly.
And then, dude, you went from like you went on an exponential curve. Like you're like animating in After Effects now. Like it's pretty crazy, and I think that just goes to show that consistently doing it and practicing can get you from zero to doing it. But
yeah. Well, so part of this is, I guess part of this is I owe credit to one of my business coaches who, you know, they've got like a checklist of certain marketing boxes that you need to check in order to like, I guess the goal isn't to check the box just to check the box, but there are certain things that if you do them, chances are you'll have enough leads or people who are raising their hand and saying, hey, I'm interested in the thing that you have or are selling. And social media was one of those things. And I was like, I had been dreading it, maybe isn't the right word, but just like with what time? You know, like I'm already, you know, running a business and I'm coaching on the floor and I'm doing all those things, but like how am I going to do this? I see you doing it with your job and you're also like making the videos and I'm like, okay, well, it's possible. Like I could do it. And then I had a meeting with one of my coaches and they were like, you know, I had said out loud, I'm going to post X number of times per week by this date. And they were like, all right, we'll check in and see if it happened. And I'm like, so I put myself on I put myself there. I put myself in a position where I had to follow through or else be, you know, I guess scolded for not doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like the only person who suffers if I don't do the thing.
Assassinated.
Yeah, assassinated. Yeah. If you don't do it. Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, I'm the only person who suffers if I don't actually do it, but I want to grow my business. And so I really committed to it. And so that's when it really started was like, okay, I said, I'm going to do it. I've got somebody holding me accountable. I'm going to do it. And my first videos were absolute garbage. But
I wouldn't say that. I mean, you're more critical than I would be.
Well, thank you.
I would say the videos were simply indicative of somebody who is attempting to do a new thing and figuring out how to do it. Like
fair.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't say they were bad.
But I guess I look at them now and I'm like, what was I thinking? But the answer is I didn't know what to think at all because I had never done it before. I mean, we've experienced this in jiu-jitsu or judo in your case. Like you just started, I know you just started that and there's a whole new world and things that you just like wouldn't even think to try or, so anyways, that was the impetus for my growth, as a video editor. And then to your point, consistency really is the thing. It's like anything else, if you want to get good at it, you just have to do it all the time. And now, like, I think I edit 3, 4, 5 videos a week, and it is it's very rewarding actually to see it all come together and like kind of look back sometimes on where I was versus where I am now. But consistency is the thing. If you're gonna do it, kind of got to do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing too. So I think the way that I look at it is, so when I got back in November from Portugal and got my apartment here, which we're sitting in. Here's my refrigerator here. I just told myself I was gonna just post a reel every single day, and not only was I gonna post a reel every single day, but what I was gonna do is also do one new thing in every single reel that I posted. And I have on my computer here like a list of things to try, and I'm consistently adding to that list every day of a new thing to try.
Cool. And
the idea is that it's like this idea of incremental gains. So when you're thinking about going to post a video, like if I was giving advice to my previous self, which I kind of followed this advice as my previous self, but I would say like
we're getting real meta right now.
Just make something and do like the simplest version of the thing you want to do, and have an idea of like the value you want to communicate to people, and do the simplest version of that. And then that's not the end of your content creation journey. You just started. So then now the next day, make another one, and have, again, a very clear intention of what you want to make and what you want to communicate to people, and just improve one thing in it. So actually, let me go through the list of things. So like I have this list called things to try, and it started off with like, it started off with just some like technical things to like increase the quality of just what the video looked like. Because when I started posting videos initially, when I made the shift to like trying to like get even better at video editing and posting every day, I was initially just doing these like talking head videos where I would just talk to the camera, and I would just have a script that I would read, and I would like memorize one line of it and then say the line to the camera.
Yep. That's where I'm at right now.
Right. No, but you're doing a lot more than that. By talking head videos, I mean like literally nothing even like on top of it or anything. Right. Just like me talking to the camera with like some captions. And so at first, like the different things I would start improving on the video. And I think this went for like 50 days or something straight of posting a video every single day. I would wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and like just record it, edit it, post it. And some of these things was like technical camera related. Like I would try a new picture profile. The next thing I would do is I started figuring out lighting. So I would use a key light in my videos. And I was like, oh, I want to figure out how are all these videos so well lit? So then in the next video, I tried 3-point lighting with 3 different lights. And then the next thing I tried was like color grading. And these were like these initial things of just improving what the quality of the video looked like. And then the next things I started doing was things like figuring out how to have a good hook at the beginning of the videos, right? And then the next thing was figuring out how to format a video in a very specific story structure, like with the Save the Cat beat sheet. And then there was things like, what are some of the things that you did? Because I know you went through a similar process of like adding initial things, and you've sort of broken it out into layers.
Yeah. So I'm going to be talking about this at a mastermind event in July. And so for that event, like what I'm talking about is systemizing content creation, because that's something that I think scares a lot of people, is like I said earlier, with what time, like what am I going to do?
Yeah, and it's also overwhelming, because I think people, I think what I'm, real quick before you continue with that, I think what I'm trying to communicate is that you don't have to overcomplicate it at the beginning. You have to do one thing, just do one thing, right? And just do that thing, right? And then now you know how to do that thing,
right? And so to that point, what I did was, like, one of the last videos that I edited, I stripped it, like one by one, stripped it of one component. And so like I took the final video and then the last thing that I do is the captions.
And this was to show people an example of what
exactly,
like how, for the simplest version of the video to the most complicated version of the video, of the same video.
Of the same video. And so people can see like how adding these layers, how trying these new things can make the video just that much more engaging, right? So if you take like just if I break it all the way down, the very base form is just the talking head. It's
Right. And a talking head is
just me talking to the camera, and then it cuts when I stop talking, and it starts again when I start talking, and that's it. It's just like the same exact message in every single version of the thing. Nothing changes about the way I'm talking or anything. It's the very same video.
And on that video, though, you are doing a little bit of editing, though, right? You've done some pre-production, so you've written a script
Correct.
out of what you want to say. So we can talk about that piece, too, because I think it's important how you structure the thing and like what a hook is. We can talk about some of those details. But I think you've done some editing to that, which is like these jump cuts where like you have the talking head video.
Yes.
And you've cut out all the dead space. You cut out the messed up lines.
Correct. Of which there are several.
Yeah. you look like you should see these unedited videos.
The blooper reels are hilarious.
You look like a lunatic. Especially like if you see somebody, recording one of these things, it's like, I don't even know what a hook would be like. Yeah, it's just like repeating the same line, getting really frustrated. Fuck.
Yep.
And then just So that's how those talking heads go, unless you've like memorized the whole thing.
Right. So you've got the first just talking head version, jump cuts from one line to the next, and then on top of that you put B-roll, which is like the imagery that explains or gives an example of what it is that you're talking about. And so then the next version of that video is talking head plus B-roll over most parts of it. It's not like the whole thing. But
if you were like saying like I'm like, what would be an example? If you're like in your videos for a gym, you might say like, you might be talking about somebody doing a bench press.
Right.
A video that you would put on top of that, because this is the reason videos exist, because you want to show things, right?
Right.
He'll be giving some expository information about bench press while showing a video of somebody doing a bench press, and that's kind of what they term B-roll, whereas this talking head is the A-roll. Right.
Yep. Okay. And so like once I put the B-roll on top of it, then I go through like transitions, and the transitions are they can be overdone, and so I do my best to make the transitions not only I guess fit the tone of whatever it is that I'm saying or doing, or the action that is happening on the other side of the transition. Like I want it to make sense. So for instance, you've probably all seen it. Like somebody says something, blah, 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 and then they swipe at the screen, and then the screen goes sideways, right? Like, okay. And then it transitions into the next thing. Like that's an example, right? Like just one example. It could be anything. Like there are literally thousands of these things. So,
but the key point here is that it's always intentional. So the purpose of a transition is to move from like, it's to link two things together in time, sort of, right?
Correct.
And they can be transitions can be entertaining, like that example you gave of that. But transitions is always to move the story forward. It's not just like randomly adding cross dissolves and like stuff like that.
Right.
You can use transitions in very specific ways. Like if you want to show the passage of time, like over a year, and you have like 3 different video clips of something happening over the course of a year, you can add cross dissolves between them, and they kind of fade between each other.
Right.
Right. And there's like intentionality behind it.
It has
like,
to be coherent.
Right.
Like it has to make sense.
Yeah.
It's not just transitions for transition's sake. So talking head, B-roll, transitions. And then once I put the transitions in place, then I start to annotate and like really highlight the key points that I'm trying to make. So if in our case for like an exercise demo video, the talking head will be saying, put your feet here, put this here, hold this like this. And so now like in, I guess later iterations of these videos, and now like I'm zooming in on these pieces or highlighting them with a circle or square or like an arrow pointing at stuff, and so that was like the next, I guess the next level was really highlighting the key points.
Yeah. So you're talking about the methodology of doing this. I think what you're doing underneath the hood there is the type of content you do is like showing people how to do like certain exercise type things, right?
Yeah.
It's a really simple concept.
It is, yeah.
And what you have to do is like, part of this is being able to draw people's attention to like certain parts of the video. There's ways to do that. You could do that if you spent like a tedious amount of time doing all the perfect camera work and everything to like draw attention. If you planned all of that beforehand, to like draw people's attention to where you want them to look and everything. But I think the annotations you're talking about, which is like these circles and arrows and stuff, that's like a tool to use to help draw people's attention to different parts of the screen, right? You're not just like throwing random animations on the screen.
Right.
You want people to focus on if somebody's doing that bench press, like you might draw a circle around the elbow or a thing to show a certain angle of their arm or whatever, right?
100%. Yeah. Again, just like with transitions, it's all intentional and it's all coherent. It's not annotations for annotation's sake. There's a purpose behind everything that we put on the screen, because like the worst thing you could do, I think, is tell somebody it's going to be this, and then all of a sudden it's just something completely different. Right. That's like one way to just get people to scroll away. So after annotations, then what I started to play around with was sound effects. How can I like add sound effects to make the things happening on the screen even more engaging? So start to play with, like I did one the other day where I wrote something on a piece of paper. And so I found marker scribbles in the sound effects, right? And then I had to play around with the volume of that so it wasn't overbearing and it wasn't over my voice, and it was, but it did add to it added to the scene. Or like I threw pens on the table. I threw pens on the table, took the cap off, started writing. So it was like I had to find pen drop, pen cap taking the pen cap off, scribbling on the paper or whatever. And so playing around with sound effects and making, again, all of this to add to the story, not take away from it. I don't want it so loud that it takes away from my voice, and I don't want it to be a sound effect that doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense if I was like writing on the paper and a bomb went off. Like, what does that do? It just makes people confused.
It's like a Monty Python.
Yeah. I have no idea. So sound effects is another layer. And then, on top of all of that is captions, and captions I think are just important because, people can't always use the sound wherever they're at. And so it's helpful, so people can continue watching the video, even if they're in a place where, they're unable to listen. And
I think captions are critical for social media, for any like vertical social media content.
Absolutely.
Because you have to, like, if you're not doing captions in videos with audio, I think you're messing up probably.
Yep. And then if you want to go even deeper, like I take great joy in, I find a lot of pleasure in, animating the captions to illustrate even further what are the things that I'm saying. So like there was one that I did this, it's not out yet. By the time you all see this, it'll be out, but something overwhelming. And so like the word overwhelming grows and shakes as if to to illustrate what maybe overwhelming would feel like, that kind of like, oh no, type of motion. And so that's like an even higher layer of, I guess, engagement.
Yeah. I think what you've done a good job of is because like, you're kind of like the systematic one of this duo here. Like I think you've done a really good job at, like, first of all, you've understood that there's what looks like a complex video is really just a video full of things that are attempting to all like enhance the thing that you're communicating, right? Like that's the entire purpose of a video, is to show somebody something that you're thinking about that you want to give, in this case, give them value through. And what you've done is taken what looks like complexity and broken that down into what are the layers involved in these things that you're putting in the video to aid in what you're trying to communicate, right?
Yeah.
And so like I think if you, the listener, if you're trying to make a video and you're overwhelmed and looking at like all these complex videos with all these different transitions and all this kind of stuff, you don't have to do all that at the beginning.
Right.
You should focus on what you're trying to communicate through the video and communicate that the best way that you can. And then you can start looking at all these other layers that like you're talking about as ways to help aid that thing that you're trying to get across to people.
Yep.
At the simplest form of doing that, in a lot of cases if you're not out making a movie. So the types of videos we make, there's a audio. We're usually talking to people, right? That's exposition versus like in a movie, like an actual movie.
Yeah.
People tell these stories through like very, very carefully chosen shots and character dialogue and stuff. Whereas we're just talking to the camera to tell a story, right? Or to do a tutorial or whatever. And the simplest method that has been around for hundreds of years. I don't know how long is the Earth?
Hundreds
of years.
The Earth has been around for hundreds of years.
At least several hundred. Maybe even 600. Okay. Oh, shit.
That was funny. Hundreds.
Oh, God. Oh, shit. That was funny. We're going to have to cut this out.
No. We're keeping it in.
Leave it in.
We're leaving it in.
Since the Earth has been around for hundreds of years, the way that people have always been talking about or have always like told stories is simply through talking, right? And like if you're trying to communicate something in a video to somebody, just try talking to the camera. Like that's the simplest version of a lot of these common types of videos. And there's a lot of, I guess, types of videos that people want to make, which I put in that spectacle category, which is it's hard to find the overlap of spectacle type videos with videos that provide people value.
Yes.
So like the way that you can, so maybe, like I've talked to people before who just want to show like highlights of their matches and stuff. I'm like, or they want to show highlights of their training. It's like, how are you helping people with that? Right. Like it can be a cool video. Like I'm not saying that's a bad video. Right. But if your goal is to give value to people and reach a larger audience and stuff and get the followers, to get the brand deals, to get the ad revenue and like all this different kind of stuff, how can you use that subject matter of like a highlight video to accomplish that goal? And that can be like, I don't know how would you do that? Say you're posting a match highlight, like how would we?
Oh, I mean, I think if you're doing match highlight, I think there has to be some sort of like explanation involved. If it's just like watch me like whip up on these guys, like that's not enough for me. Unless
that works for some athletes.
It works for some athletes.
Yeah, right.
If you're tying on Dalbra, it works. Like that's a different level. If you're just like the everyday person, I think there has to be something else. There has to be another layer. I don't personally know how I would go about it, but I would, imagine, again, drawing attention to certain parts of the match or certain parts of the highlight that, may be difficult for somebody just watching to understand, especially as it happens very quickly, and breaking that down and having some sort of dialogue behind it, or I guess monologue behind it.
Yeah, that probably work well for those are like commentary type videos. Yeah, those I think work very well for like advanced jiu-jitsu players especially. So like just a run of the mill black belt, as if a black belt is run of the mill, right? a non-world famous black belt, non-world famous black belt. Like those types of videos probably work fantastically, because what is the value that a lot of the jiu-jitsu community wants? They want to like learn new techniques, and if you are at a level where you can demonstrate a technique that you've executed in like a match, like that's one way to like use your match as a way to like actually give value to people, right?
You maybe say like, okay, I came up against this was the reaction that I got, and this is like maybe a really common thing that a lot of people see, and this is how I approach it,
right?
And just say, okay, like that's maybe one way to add value to something that you're already doing in the highlight. Yeah. So techniques don't exist.
Yeah, techniques don't exist. So if you're making a commentary video, don't talk about techniques because they don't exist.
That's for an entirely different podcast.
Yeah, I want full eco. Real quick shout out TrueFit Customs, code Josh Beam for I think like $15 off or it's
You're gonna
something.
say $11 off.
No, it's some amount of
$11.
It's some decent amount of money off.
Yeah, cool.
Go to Josh Fiend BJJ. Click the link in my bio. These are custom mouth guards. I actually really like it. They sent this to me. It's got my initials on the side of it.
Dope. You won't wear it the rest of the podcast?
I will.
Can you talk with it in?
You can talk. It's like a little bit muffled. I'm not sure if like the listeners will enjoy this. I will say,
okay, yeah, you should probably take it out.
Yeah, I will say, I will say you can drink water through this. Shout out to Jitsu Dummies. I was on the podcast. No, all jokes aside though. All jokes aside though, really good mouth guard. I would recommend it. It's like molded to your teeth and everything. True Fit Customs. Code Josh Beam. Get some amount of money off that I forgot how much money it is, but anyway, getting back to our discussion.
Oh shit.
Getting back to our discussion. What were we talking about?
Where were we going?
Where were we going with this? So, we were talking about like if you want to understand very clearly before you make any video what is the value you want to give to somebody, and if it doesn't feel strong in your head, it's probably not strong, and you should think of another idea and figure out the value proposition of what you're putting out there.
Yep.
Again, this is like for people who like want to like get better at making content and stuff. I think that's the key thing that most people miss is like just be very intentional about the value that you're giving through every single thing that you're putting out.
I see people. I'm in like a couple of groups, and I see people all the time. They're like, I posted this thing and it only got 15 views, and I go and like watch the video, and I'm like, I wish it were still 15. I just gave it 16. I learned nothing from this. I have no idea what it is for. I don't know like what is the purpose? Like why am I here?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think if you answer those questions and you truly like in your heart of hearts try to answer those questions, the content will make itself. Like you'll get good at it.
Yeah, I think the mistake that I've made, and I think that a lot of people make, especially when they get into any new sort of like art form that has some level of technical side to it, like photography, shooting videos, editing, things like that. People get really caught up in the technical aspect of it, and they also get caught up just in the fact that it's them putting themselves out there. So what results is like videos that are like about them, and you have to remember like. The video is never about you. You might be in the video.
Right.
The video is about you, but it's not about you, right? And that's the key thing to keep in mind is that as soon like if the video is about you, people can tell, and there's no reason for them to watch it. Videos that are about you are for people who already care about you.
Yep.
It's for like family and friends and stuff. Those are the people who care about these things, but that's a small audience. If you're trying to build an audience, that's not the
Correct.
And so like as a beginner getting caught up in this stuff, I've got a lot of messages from people who want to make videos, and they ask me how I do that. And the first question they ask me is, what camera do I use? Like, as if that is the thing that's going to make the video.
Yeah.
And
this is the thing that's going to put me over the edge. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's not the camera.
That's fine.
Like that's not the thing that's going to do it. It's not. They're like. The questions they ask me, they've never really made videos ever. They say, "What's the camera are you using? What editing program are you using? And how can I change the colors to make it look better?"
Interesting. Okay.
Color grading.
Yeah. So they're just like they're barking down. They're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, they're barking down, though. Barking up.
Barking up the wrong tree. Well, I don't remember the expression. In any case.
And that's like, those are the wrong first questions to ask if you're trying to make videos, because you can just make
all of ours are made on an iPhone.
Yeah,
right now. Like,
yours are. Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, and the key thing that's happening is that you're communicating the message correctly.
Correct.
And like obviously this goes to like this ages old debate of like, do cameras matter? And of course they matter, because like the type of camera, the camera quality. I mean, because that changes the quality of the image, and you can't argue that. Like people enjoy a better image most of the time, right? But that's not the thing that I think coming into making videos that you want to focus on first. You want to focus on creating value for people, and you can do that with iPhone video.
Right.
You can do that without any sort of color grading. You can do that with like the most minimal things.
Yep.
And if you're focusing on what like camera and microphone and editing program you should be using, that's the completely wrong focus, and you're gonna make bad videos.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're gonna look nice.
Yeah,
they're gonna
they'll
be
look
bad
nice,
videos.
but they're bad videos. Yeah, you'll spend a lot of money to make subpar videos.
Make
Yeah.
better looking
Bad
videos of the same quality that you were making before you bought the camera.
Right.
Which,
Right.
if you weren't making videos, yeah,
I think that brings us kind of in the next phase of this conversation, which is like what makes a good video. And you mentioned hooks earlier.
if we're talking about like social media videos,
Yeah,
like
okay.
those are a different animal, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess if whoever is listening to this is interested in creating more like social media content, there's like the hook, and then the actual content, and then the payoff, and maybe in some cases a call to action at the end. But like those 3 to 4 things like have to exist, otherwise the video just completely flops.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. There's like a very particular social media structure, and the reason I think it exists is because people are scrolling. Like, just think about your own behavior on social media, and most people probably also behave exactly like you on social media. It's built to get people to behave in certain ways, right? And most people are just scrolling through and like looking for a video, and it's like these first 2 to 3 seconds of a video. If that didn't catch your attention, you're scrolling, right?
Right.
So like, you have to very intentionally be thinking about what you're putting in the first 2 to 3 seconds of the video, and I'll spend like the multiplier of time that you spend thinking about the first 3 seconds of the video is way longer than 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I've gone back and forth on just the first few seconds of a video like so many times. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but I've probably spent like, you can spend like 20 minutes figuring out the first 3 seconds of the video. You can spend an hour figuring out the first 3 seconds of the video, and then do the first 3 seconds of the video and realize that it doesn't catch your attention the way you thought it would. But it's like so important. And this is specifically because of these, like it's the way the social media platforms serve people videos and their behavior on it. So that's like hugely important.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to know, like, everybody always talks about the algorithm, and nobody seems to know how it works.
Nobody knows how the algorithm, unless you're designing it at Instagram.
Nobody knows how it works,
but
I think it's become very obvious what the intention of the algorithm is, and it's to keep you on the platform.
It's to keep you on the platform, yeah. And I think it's actually, okay, sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say it's to keep you on the platform, and so if the video that you make doesn't serve their purpose of keeping people on the platform, they won't push it. It's not going to make it out there. And so they're like very meticulously testing and retesting every time you put a video out. They're putting it in front of a certain subset of eyes. And if it passes that test, then it goes in front of more eyes and more eyes and more eyes until it like grows and grows and grows. But the number one thing that has to happen is it has to keep people on the platform. It has to keep people on the video that you made. So investing time in getting good at writing hooks, and writing stories in 30 to 90 seconds with a good solid payoff at the end is, I think, very important and probably an overlooked skill.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes the first few seconds of the video good is like a few key things. I think one, people know immediately what the video is about. Or they have some sort of idea of where the video might go. They know what to expect. They know that if they're going to spend this next valuable 90 seconds of their life watching the entire video, because that's what the goal is for people to watch the entire video, is that they know that the next 90 seconds is going to be worth their time.
Right.
How do you do that in a few seconds? It's like really obvious ways that it's just like it's just easy to do it, not do these things out of laziness, basically. It's like it doesn't, the threshold of effort, the bar of the effort it takes to do it well is very low. You just have to actually do it. Right. So it's like if you're talking about how to do a certain technique in the gym, for example, just go to like at your strength training gym. If you're teaching people how to do a bench press, which is not a video you've done, but like, if you're like if the video is the simplest video possible, it's like 3 tips for a better bench press. Like, you could think of way more creative hooks than that, but the most basic version of this hook that gives people context, tells them like what to expect for the rest of the video, and yeah, I think that's the main thing, is like catches their attention, lets them know what to expect for the rest of the video, could simply be you doing a bench press and saying, here's 3 tips for a better bench press.
Right.
Like, that's the simplest version of a hook, right?
Yep.
And this can go in like 100 different directions. You can modify that. You can change the language of it to make it negative. You can do something else besides say 3 tips for a better bench press.
Right.
But that's the essence of that thing. And people know immediately when they see that, what the video is going to be about, what to expect. They have all the context. They're like, okay, let me watch the rest of the video.
Right.
And a lot of people just start videos off like kind
hey
of
guys.
rambling, or like, hey guys, don't stop saying hey guys.
Yeah.
Like,
stop saying hey guys.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it. You just get right into it. Let
Yeah.
people know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think that goes back to just like we talked about the technical layers of editing a video and how each one should like add value to the video as a whole. The same thing goes for like the script, in this case the hook. Like everything you say should provide some sort of value or provide something to the video. Like there can be no phrases that are just like I mean, I sent you a video the other day. You were like, this is good, this is good, this is good. But like this sentence right here serves no purpose. Cut it. And so, and as I listened to it again, I was like, you're right. Like I could cut this out, and the video, the message of the video stays exactly the same
in a shorter amount of time. Better for the platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, if you go through your, whatever it is, your script, if you can go through and cut things out and communicate the same message, do it. Even if you love that one particular line and you were so proud of the way it, came out of your mouth when you said it or whatever, just fucking get rid of it.
Yeah, that's called killing your darlings, right? Yeah. Like another mistake people make in videos, I think, is like that I've made plenty of times, is like something that I spent a lot of time making, or like spent a lot of time on. Maybe I spent a lot of time filming it or animating it or whatever. And you put it in the edit and realize it's not working, and then want to keep it because you've sunken the time into it, or because you think it's cool, like because of your own personal effort. But nobody who watches your video cares about the effort that you put into it.
That's
nobody.
True. That's true. There have been several times, Josh and I both will send each other little snippets, 2-second snippets that took literally hours to make. So. Nobody will care.
Nobody will know.
Nobody will know the time and effort you put into it. And on that topic, actually, there was something that I wanted to say earlier that I missed, or I had forgot about, and it just brought it back to me, was I think another mistake that people make, or one that stops them from getting into this in the first place, is being worried about what people will think. Real quick, what's the coolest thing you saw yesterday? What's the coolest piece of content?
I literally can't even remember.
Nobody knows. Like nobody remembers. Like it's really, really. I love asking that question, and people just blank stare. There's like, oh shit, what did I consume yesterday? Right. So if you're ever like worried about what people are gonna think, or just whatever it is, fuck it. Just put it out there. Get better, like we're saying, just get better at one thing every time.
Yeah, if you do this for 30 days and get better at one thing every time, like your videos aren't 30 times better; they're like 1,000 times better.
It truly grows exponentially for sure.
Yeah. So, we keep talking about scripting. We haven't actually talking. We haven't talking. We haven't talking about the key components of like actually making these videos. Like we can probably get into like the nitty gritty practical sort of stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Like I was helping my coach Greg Sirico. Shout out Greg Sirico, Odyssey Jiu-Jitsu, Atlanta, Georgia. Booyah. not a sponsor, but shout. Okay. Anyway. Oh yeah, real quick in case you guys forgot, Momentous code Josh being 50% off. Here's some collagen powders for the joints.
Josh has become a corporate whore.
I'm trying to make money. Aren't we all corporate whores?
We are. Yeah, listen, we are.
No, but I actually use Momentous. I've been using it before I had a discount code. Okay. What I was gonna say is the nitty gritty practical stuff. My coach, Greg Sirico, he wanted to start making videos, and completely ground zero. Never edited a video in his life. Never he's been on camera. Obviously, like everybody's been on camera at this point. But, and I was telling him the easiest way to make the first video is to one, figure out the thing you want to communicate to people, and then write down exactly everything you're gonna say. And you don't have to do this, but this is because there's another way to do it. But the way that I would recommend for most people starting out to make videos is because it's wildly difficult to one communicate as articulately as you think you are.
Nice catch.
On camera. Yeah,
nice.
articulately.
That was the perfect word for that to happen on, actually.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, articulate. Oh,
the irony.
Perfect sentence for that to happen.
This is all ad-libbed. So.
Yeah, this is all ad-libbed. I didn't script this. On camera, you're not nearly as articulate on camera just talking as you think you are. Most people are not. Some people just naturally are, but most people are not. And also, it's wildly difficult to estimate how much time the thing will take to say the thing that you want to say.
Yeah.
Like, wildly difficult.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, you don't know how much 90 seconds worth of words is.
I wrote a script the other day, and I filmed it, and then I chopped it up, and it was literally 3 minutes long. And I was convinced. I was like, I'm going to be able to get all this done in 90 seconds. It's going to be great. And now I have to now it's 3 different videos because there's no way I could possibly fit it into 90 seconds. I tried and tried, could not cut it down enough.
Yeah.
So to your point, it is very difficult to know exactly how much you're going to be able to say in any given time frame, especially one that's so short.
Right. Yeah. I've kind of got it. I kind of figured it out because I use this program called Notion. It's just like a note taking app. Do you still use it?
I don't use it for this.
Not
I
for
typically just
scripting.
do mine in Google Docs, but
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. But at this point, I've written so many of those scripts that I just know visually how many words takes about 90 seconds.
Okay.
So I can just intuit that now. And after doing a shit ton of these videos, now I kind of roughly know how long something will take me to say.
Okay.
But it's so easy to overestimate that or underestimate it. So that's the first thing. If you're going to make a video and it's a video where you're talking to people, one, figure out the value. Second, write down exactly what you're going to say and do it in a format where you're because most of these videos that are providing value, most of these types of videos are going to be some sort of tutorial-ish type video, right?
Yeah.
There's different types of videos that people make, but the very basic for gym owners and stuff like that is usually sort of educating, inspiring, or entertaining, right? And a lot of it is education a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's the easiest one to hit.
Right.
Is education for sure.
So if it's an educational video, it's usually the structure is more straightforward. You're not trying to tell a complicated story. You can educate through a story too, which is a different subject matter. But so write down everything you're going to say. Start with the hook. Maybe it's 3 tips for a better bench press, and then
or how I got X without doing Y. Blah,
right.
blah, blah.
How I've bench pressed 315 pounds without hurting myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I bench pressed 315 pounds.
You can't say that with a straight face.
I can't. It's 3 times my body weight. If I was a child. Oh shit. Yeah. And then you go through the 3 things that are good for your bench press, and then write it down. And then what I like to do sometimes, if I'm unsure of the amount of time, is I'll just put a timer on my phone and then read the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't done that before, but I like that.
Yeah. Just put a timer on your phone, read the thing in the same pace that you would say to the video. And then when you're going to make the video, what do you do, Matt?
When I'm going to make the video.
Yeah, the talking head piece.
I have learned to... Okay, so do not do what I used to do, which was post yourself up against a wall with a camera 2 feet from your face and talk at the camera. It's helpful to have some depth. I will typically like set a bench up and then, the camera maybe a few feet away. And I have to like kind of go back and forth and test it a couple times because it's all on an iPhone. I don't have what do you call it's like a view,
Like a
viewfinder monitor,
Yeah,
I guess.
monitor,
I don't have
yeah.
a monitor like the cameras that we're using right now, but so I'll set my bench up, set my camera up. I use Filmic because I'm no good at light, and Filmic helps correct a lot of that stuff. I can like very easily make sure the lighting is the way it should be. And then I just have my computer off to the side, and I like blow the font up to like 200%, and literally will read line by line, just like look at it, read it, and try to emote as best I can to like, give the give the viewer well, I want the viewer to feel what I'm feeling when I say it. And so I'm not just like, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog or whatever, like you got to give it a little,
Yeah, give it some oomph.
you got to get a little oomph.
Right.
And I'll mess up 1,000 times and I'll yell fuck into the camera a bunch. And then I will, as I, make my way through the script, I'll save that and send it over to my camera roll, and then I'll dump it on my computer. And then I found out that I have a nice little plugin that will cut all the dead spaces, and then I just go through and pick the ones that I like and then mash it all together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the next thing that I was telling Greg was he thought that he had to like read the script perfectly, like memorize the whole script and say it to the camera.
I also thought that when I
Yeah.
first started all this. I was like,
Right.
I would do this stuff and I would get all the way to the last fucking line, and I'd say something wrong and I'd be like, fuck, and I'd have to do it again. It took me forever.
Right.
So now these scripts take 10 minutes to film, really, maybe not even that.
Yeah.
Once you get everything set up, it's longer to set up the actual, like, set up the camera, set up the bench.
Right.
I will going back to my don't post yourself up against a wall thing. It helps to have, again, some depth. And then, as Josh taught me, it's also nice to have some kind of context in the back. So like, we're a gym. Before I was doing my talking head videos, in front of this like beautiful mural in our gym, which is really cool.
It's a nice mural, but it's a darling that you have to kill.
Exactly. Like nobody knows what we are if I'm talking in front of that mural. It could be an art store for all they know. Now I've since started doing them in front of like the racks in the back.
Gym equipment.
The gym equipment. So people are like, it's very, very clear that we're a gym. Right when the video starts, I don't have to say anything and people know that it's a gym. So that's maybe an important piece of the puzzle there.
Yeah. This is like talking head 101 for somebody who's never done it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think those are the main things to think about. And then people ask about like cameras and microphones and editing programs and stuff like that. You can start off with just your iPhone. It is helpful, depending on the room you're in, to have a mic. Like you see a lot of those, like,
I think a mic's critical, actually.
you think so?
I think so.
I think you're right.
People
yeah.
are willing
Yeah.
to put up with slightly shitty video. They're not willing to put up with shitty audio.
Yeah.
They're just not. Like,
Yeah.
if I hear shitty audio, I'm like, out, see you later, bye. I don't care what was in this video.
This is actually a good thing to talk about, is like in the order of priority of things to invest in. So if you're gonna take your money and spend it on things, that's actually a really good point. Like you can start off with literally just your iPhone and like no additional equipment or whatever, or your Android phone if
You're one of those people.
if you're one of those people. I don't know any Android users.
I maybe know a few, but we don't talk about
keep
it.
them away from
We don't talk about it.
You can start off with like just your iPhone, and then like if you're gonna purchase anything, I think to your point, the next thing would not be to buy a better camera. It would be to get better audio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which would be like there's pretty much like standard microphones that everybody is using now. Like the one I have is the DJI mic. You have a DJI mic also. There's like a Rode something or other. I forget what it's the model of it, but they're very common.
Yeah.
It's basically these lav mics that you clip on. a lav mic is a lavalier mic. It's a microphone that like attaches to like
Anything.
you or something else, really.
Yeah.
And these mics that you see people use, they're like wireless. You attach a transmitter to the iPhone. They plug into the iPhone, and then you take the actual microphone, like clip it somewhere on you, and talk to the microphone. It records in the iPhone. So yeah, first thing to spend money on would be the
Audio for sure. Most smartphones have a 4K camera on them now. I would be surprised if any of them, any of the newer models did not have them.
Yeah, but speaking of 4K, on Instagram, I believe all the videos are limited to HD anyway. So even if you're uploading a 4K video, I'll record. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard somebody talking about this in a video. Like I'll actually export my 4K videos for social media in 1080p.
Okay.
And then upload them like that because I think when you downsize the 4K, it's going to look sharper at 1080p, and Instagram is only 1080p anyway. I don't know if this is. I don't really know how that stuff works. I haven't tested a video like A/B test, but what were we talking about? Yeah,
things
4K.
to invest in.
Yeah, the next thing is like, as far as the editing goes, when people ask me what program to use, I actually just recommend CapCut first because you can use that on your phone or on a computer, and it's free.
Yep,
Is it free?
That's what you recommended I use. It is free. There are paid features on it.
Yeah,
but anybody can download CapCut and use it. It is very for a free editor. Is very robust.
It's very user friendly.
Yeah, it's very easy to use. They've got good tutorials and demos on there. So if you see an effect you want to try, like you can do it in CapCut, which is really cool. But the desktop editor, if you want to get really into the nitty gritty, the desktop editor I have used, and it is not as robust as DaVinci, which you use, or Premiere Pro, which I use. So. I would say, unless you're like really into this, CapCut is probably fine. Yeah. But if you want to like take it to the next level, then one of those would be better options.
Yeah.
I started on Final Cut Pro because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and then learned it. And then quickly shifted to Premiere Pro, and then got really pissed off. And Josh had to explain to me that it's actually a much better program.
I don't. Is it? Yeah, I don't know if it's a much better pro.
I mean,
a lot of people still use Final Cut Pro.
No, Final Cut Pro is a very good program. I would say it's a step above, several steps above CapCut but sure. And now after having used both, I would say it's a step below Premiere.
Okay, so you like Premiere better?
I do like Premiere better.
Yeah. Those are all paid. Yeah.
Those are all paid.
But yeah, I think for most people, just to get off the ground, like if you're trying to make videos as a BJJ person or a gym owner or whatever, just iPhone, invest in a microphone if you can, and then just free editing program. You can even do it on your phone, CapCut.
Yep.
I think that's it for like the practical details. What else should we talk about?
Let's see. We talked about other content creators we see in the space.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in particular that you enjoy watching?
Yeah. Let me pee though.
Pee break.
I'm not sure if I have much on the topic of other content creators. Do you? I mean, there's a few that I kind of like to watch.
Yeah, there's a few that I like. There's a few that I like to watch.
Yeah, like who?
Electrum Performance. What?
I don't know. Just your tone of voice is funny right now.
Yeah, I mean, no, there are a few in the strength and conditioning for jiu-jitsu space that are good in my opinion.
What do you think they're doing differently compared to the other ones that you see? Like, what are they doing to you? What are they doing to you?
Well, like I like Electrum Performance. Alex Sterner is the owner of Electrum Performance. They work with the Atos guys, and his meme game is on point. Like, it seems like every other day, maybe there's a new meme that he puts out that always makes me laugh, which fits under the entertainment bucket of, the three that we mentioned earlier. And so I think they're worth mentioning because not only are they educational, but they're also very funny. And I think that's a hard, it's hard to get more than one of those buckets, and they do a really good job of it.
So is the comedy intended usually to teach?
I mean, they have some reels that are solely educational, and then they've got some that are solely entertainment.
Got it.
And then they've got some that cross over, but I don't know. I don't know what the formula is or whatever. If they're always like trying to educate through humor,
Yeah.
but they do a very good job of being funny, and that's entertaining, and therefore
Yeah.
I watch them all the way through.
Right. That's actually a good one because like I guess we kind of I guess yeah we touched briefly on like the entertainment. We've been mostly talking about the educate category, but yeah, some people who do like the entertainment part really big in the jiu-jitsu space is like Bruno, his
Yep.
at part-time Jitsu.
Yep.
He's hilarious. I don't know. He's like one of we were talking one time. He's made, I don't know how many reels he's made at this point, but I linked up with him when I was in Miami one time for like a competition, and we went to side story. It was the weirdest restaurant ever because it was just confused as to what it was.
Okay.
It was like, I think it was a Brazilian steakhouse with like a Spanish name or something maybe, but like in a strip mall, and like the server, I don't know, it was very culturally confused.
Okay. All right.
But it was the perfect sort of odd, the food was delicious, but it was the perfect sort of odd restaurant to link up with Bruno in, because he's
That's
also
cool.
hilarious. So like
Yeah.
the whole scene was funny. But but at one time he told me, I also linked up with him in
Sick.
Rio in Brazil. Yeah, one
Yeah,
time.
okay,
So
I remember
random.
that.
Yeah, we trained at Kyra Gracie's gym.
Cool.
Like that was dope.
Okay. Cool.
And he was telling me at one point that I don't know how long he'd been making the reels for, but he's made one every single day. Whoa, he just texted me. What on earth? I swear, just got a text from him.
That's so funny.
Whoa.
Ears are burning.
Whoa. Bruno, I'm going to send this clip to you. That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Whoa. Anyway, and he never, like, I think he said he missed like two days of making a reel, and like one of them was like some like family event or something. Like it was for like reasons not of just like I'm tired or something.
Right.
Just an absurd amount of content. We should talk more about consistency in a second.
Yeah,
That's a good
okay.
topic. But
Yeah.
but he does a really good job at comedy, because I think comedy in a way actually is, it's in a similar vein of storytelling. It's just really compressed stories.
Yep.
And I think there's oftentimes lessons still to be learned through comedy. So like, I
Absolutely.
think that's probably why comedy is effective also.
Yeah.
But also it's just entertaining and funny, right? So like, I think Part-Time Jitsu is good. And then BJJ Tech Nerd, shout out Marco.
Yeah.
He's really funny. There's a few Travis Elbows Tight
Elbows
podcasts.
Tight's good.
Yeah. All my bros. All good. But I think it's good to like draw, even if that's not the type of content you're making, if you just really look at the creators you like, I think, and draw inspiration from them. That's a good way to do it, right? You copy, steal like an artist.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's something to be said. It's like there's a proof of concept. People watch this stuff, right? And so, you know, if you can, if you have people that you like to watch, and you know you find yourself watching their videos all the way through, then chances are there are other people who are also doing the same thing, and that should be enough. If you're ever wondering, like, should I make content about this? Does anybody else make it? And if they do, then that's a good thing. Like, don't take that as a, well, they already said it, so I shouldn't say it. Because nobody, like we said earlier, like nobody remembers what they saw from day to day. And so, you know, if you're saying it in your own way, then that's totally fine.
Yeah. Another good point to bring up is like, I think one, if you're watching it, other people are watching it. Second, when you're thinking about making videos, I think if you if you have sort of multiple compasses, like one compass is, am I providing value to people? The second compass is this something that I would want to watch? Because there's a lot of people like you, I think,
Yeah.
right? Like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whenever I make videos now, like I make longer form YouTube videos too, right? It's like whenever I'm making the video now, I'm thinking, is this a video that I, Josh, would want to watch?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
100%.
and I mean that as in like, would I want to watch it if I wasn't in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Is
Yeah.
the video a video that I would want to watch? And like that's the thing that has happened over making all these videos is like just being able to objectively look at the video. Like I just see myself as a character now in the video, right?
Right.
It's like it's about the video,
Right.
And if it's a video that you would want to watch, and if it's a type of video that other people are watching, right? Like that's probably
Yeah. That's good enough for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to make stuff you're interested in, right?
Exactly.
Did you have anything else to say on that? Because we wanted to talk about consistency.
No, I think consistency is like the next thing, because that's like without that, none of this exists.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw huge results from consistency. So we have to talk about something that's kind of awkward to talk about, which is follower growth. Okay. Like talking about your own follower growth.
Yep.
Because like on one hand, like it's like at least I kind of want to pretend like followers don't, like the follower count doesn't matter, but like at the end of the day, that's actually like that's the audience.
Yeah.
It's like that number represents
that
the
is the
breadth
audience.
of the audience, right?
And for people watching this, if you own a business, those represent like potential leads, right? If you're an athlete looking for brand deals, those are people that brands who would potentially employ you, so to speak, are looking to get in front of, right? So like the follower count does matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's like it's also a thing of because that becomes, once that starts to grow, you have a good idea of who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And you know exactly who the group of people is that you're addressing because they've shown interest in the things that you've made before, and now you know who they are and you can talk directly to them. So that's another reason why that's important, is because you're getting a bigger sample size of the people who are interested in the things you're making and why you're making them, and you can continue to tailor those things to them. And yeah, of course, and also, yeah, especially on the business side, that's the top of your funnel, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's like this value, that constant value exchange. It's like, what value are you giving to people, and then they're continually wanting to engage with you, which also, especially if you're a gym owner or business owner, then that continues to benefit you, and then you make more valuable content for them, and you keep growing, and the people who are already engaged with you get more out of it, and it's like a constant like symbiotic
relationship
cycle.
There's also something to be said for like I guess like brand authority, right? Like if you find a brand that's only got a couple hundred followers, you're like, why should I believe you?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point to bring up, actually. Because things changed once I hit a double digit.
Yeah. Like, why should I believe you? And, not only like I see this as, as a business owner myself, not only is the number of followers brand authority to people who don't follow you yet, but are watching your thing and are considering following you, but also it is brand authority for the people who already are with you, who are already part of your community. Because if somebody works out at my gym and they work out at a gym that's got X number of thousands of followers or whatever, like whether anybody admits it or not, that says something. They're like, I train at the gym that has this many followers. That means this many people trust them. That means like what I'm doing. It's like, it's validating in a way. For the people who are there.
Yeah,
right?
100,000 people have found enough value in the things that
Yes.
you're making to want to
Yeah.
see more and engage more with
Right.
it, right? It's like
Right.
that says something.
For sure.
And that's what happened with me too. So like as I guess you're an actual like business brand. I at this point, like my personal brand is my business brand in a way, right?
Yeah.
And like the audience, as the audience grows, it gives that personal brand sort of authority, as you're terming it, which sounds weird to say for me because I'm just like a person, but like
No, but it's a
but
thing.
and what it's done is like if like I've been making this video for months now on the ecological approach, and it's really easy for me now to just reach out and ask people to talk with me for the video,
Yeah.
right? It's like people see that I've made videos. It's that enough people have found value in the videos that they're willing to be a part of it, which is like super exciting to me because I'm like get to talk to people now who I've like used to watch
Yeah.
their videos and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
so that I guess this is all to say there are reasons why it's good to analyze and think about the reasons why this number of people who are engaging with your content is important.
For sure.
And I think really though the way that social media has sort of fostered it, I don't know how neither one of us have worked on the algorithms at Meta that that drive the
That you know of.
that you know of. So we can't say like we can't say how they work,
Correct.
right? But what social media seems to prefer is consistency as well, and you and I both can see that in the metrics.
Absolutely.
Because what happens is when I went through that phase, I need to get an exact number on this, but I posted one reel every single day for like, I don't know, it ended up being like 50 days of every single day, and it kind of dwindled down, and then I started getting more into YouTube, so the reels have gone down, and I've also seen the amount of like consistent follower growth going down. But when I was posting every single day and also trying to continually improve the quality, I don't even know at this point, but I went from like some number around like 4,000 to now I'm at like 15.3 thousand or something.
Yeah.
And the only thing that changed was that I started making videos every day and improving one thing on the videos every day.
Yep.
And figuring out the value.
Yeah.
And you go back, and the thing is that like all the new people who are coming to engage with your content, they're not seeing all your old content, right? They're seeing what you've done now.
Right.
But like if you go and scroll back in my content, it's like the change in quality
Yeah.
is like considerable.
Yeah.
And it's literally just by doing it. And again, that's like the thing you brought up of people being worried about posting that everybody's going to see it, that they're going to be cringy.
Yeah.
I think you have to go through a cringe
do.
phase. Probably
Everybody
you
does.
just have to.
Yep.
And like whatever, you're the guy. You're making the videos. Like you're doing the thing
Right.
that like
Yeah. But literally nobody will remember tomorrow.
yeah, not only that, but like the fact that you're putting yourself out there in the first place, I think is like you should reserve all judgment on anybody who's
Yeah.
like taking the effort to like make stuff and put it out there because that's something we all fear is that like people will see it and like think we're dumb or like
Yeah.
that's a bad video or that's cringy or whatever, but you just have to
Yep.
you have to do it to figure out what works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, one thing that you've said a couple times is just the people engaging with your content, and I think a very critical component of all of this is if people are going to engage with your content, you must engage back. Like you know, I had the pleasure of listening to Jordan Syatt speak about just social media in general. And one of the things that he said, he was like, you know, and this is maybe a big mistake that I see people make. I've also made it several times where, you know, somebody took the time to watch my video and then they posted a comment or maybe wrote something that I didn't know exactly how to respond to. And so I just give them like the thumbs up emoji or fire emojis or whatever. And like that is, in my opinion, now after having heard Jordan Syatt, who's closing in on 1 million followers, you know, and one of the most influential in the fitness space, you know,
Who you also did a podcast with?
who was
on
on this show. So go watch that one. He, you know, after hearing him speak about that, it is a non-negotiable. Anytime somebody comments on anything, even if they just put the fire emojis, I make sure I write something back to them. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch. Because when you do that enough, enough people see that you're engaging with them and that you're talking back and that you're an actual, and for in our case, we're a business brand, but like somebody is responding to them, that is worth so much in the grand scheme of
Yeah, I
things.
think that's huge for a business,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
for a business,
Yeah.
because that's usually like you think about a business, you think about McDonald's. What is that? It's just like
Yeah.
an entity out in the ether.
Right.
Like you're a gym on Instagram, like most gyms, I think you don't even know really who the face is behind
Right.
them. Like it's just like an entity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you actually have some good stories on this, like the people you've engaged with and the messages and everything.
Yeah. That's actually that's part of our system, not to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but like that's part of our system is every time somebody follows us, we reach out and say, hey, thanks for the follow. What is it that you want to see? And actually that could bring us into our next topic, which maybe should be, how do you come up with stuff to how do you come up with stuff to make videos on? But that's been a huge part of like our content creation cycle. But just reaching out and just saying, hey, here we are. Thanks so much for following. What is it that you want to see on our page? We're always looking for suggestions. That alone has yielded such great feedback, not only in the videos that we posted, have already posted, but so many people have come back and been like, I never expected this from a business. I never expected somebody to actually reach out and actually ask for my opinion on stuff, and then take my opinion and run with it and do something with it. And like, it's been super, super valuable. And I think it's a grossly overlooked component of the social media formula.
I think you're right. Yeah, I try to like engage with as many people as I can, especially in like the messages and everything, and then in the comments, and then I guess also speaking of comments too, by the way, a lot of people are worried about like mean comments and stuff, and I don't know what your take is on that, but my take is like thank you, because that
embrace it.
boosts the
Yep.
post
100%.
like the more comments.
Yeah.
I'm not say I guess I wouldn't say like make purposefully inflammatory content
Right.
unless you're a terrible person. But like,
But controversial content is,
yeah, controversial for sure. But I'm
Yeah.
even just talking about like
Yeah.
the haters, right?
Right,
Like
right,
people
right, yeah.
who just like troll on posts and stuff, or
Right,
say
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's like all in a way, to a degree, to an extent, all engagement is good engagement.
Yep.
As far as like your content, I think, being like pushed out there and stuff. But we're going to talk about ideation now. So like,
Okay.
as a either as a gym owner, business owner, as a BJJ athlete, how do you come up with ideas? So
Yep.
what is your way of coming up?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing we talked about a little bit was just looking at other accounts like yours, or ones that you want to emulate, and seeing if they're posting anything. And I'm like constantly saving posts that I see. I'm like, all right, I could totally like riff on this, or I've got maybe a little bit different take, or there's maybe something that I wish they had said that they didn't say, or I'm constantly cataloging those. So that's one. The second is like I said, just asking your followers, literally ask them, and take what they say, put it into put it into a document, and then just every time you need to make a new piece of content, you can always consult that. And then from a business perspective, like ask the people who already know, like, and trust you. Or, like for us as a gym, I'm like always, whenever I'm on the floor, I am listening for questions being asked, right? Like what's like a common thread? What's something that like seems to be bugging people lately? And you can use those as ways to build content. So for us, those are the three big ones.
Got it. Yeah, I think for me, I would say, I actually have a list of like, so one thing I would say, just as far as methodology goes for like coming up with your ideas, is any idea that I have for a video, I'll write every single idea down. Like even if it's a bad idea, I'll just write it down. And what I mean by write it down is literally it's just like nowadays it's kind of the hook of the video. So I'll just write a hook down, which is like one sentence. So I was gonna say, as far as like ideation on my side, what I do is like just throughout the day, whenever I just have a random idea, I'll write it down. And nowadays they're kind of in the form of like hooks, which is just like the first sentence of the video or whatever. And that's how like I try to think of the ideas now. But these mostly come from like my day-to-day life experience. Just like yours seem to just kind of come from your environment, right? That's where mine come from too. It's like any so an example is one that I'm gonna make pretty soon after I get done with this YouTube video I've been making. I was just in Atlanta 1 week ago for the IBJJF Atlanta Open, and in the finals of my gi division, I got DQ'd for reaping, and I've been and I've done like, because I was doing an ankle lock. I've finished like about 80 leg locks in competition. Like some of the competitions allow like toe holds and shit like that. So I've done like a handful of those, but I've finished essentially 80 ankle locks in competition. A lot of them IBJJF, and I've never been called for reaping, which is kind of an absurd thing to happen, right? And so like the video is, I think the way that I'm going to format this video, because I've done so many of these, the way that immediately pops out to me is the hook is going to be something like, I just got DQ'd for reaping and I've finished 80 ankle locks in competition. What happened?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, so, that's the hook of the video. It kind of tells people what to expect. Like it sets expectations. It kind of hooks people in. That's sort of a sensationalist statement to make, because I have the advantage of having like a large number of these things that I've done. So like if you can use numbers are good, I think, because like 80 says a lot more than I do a lot of ankle locks and I just got DQ'd for reaping. Like, what does that mean? Right.
Right.
And then the content of the video will just be like educational to like explain how reaping works, because reaping is such a confusing topic, right, in BJJ. So that's an example of like an idea that I wrote down from just an experience that I had recently. It's like any of these experiences that you have on a day-to-day that kind of stick out and pop out to you, if you can, I try to just think about them in a way that would like that I can like communicate some sort of lesson learned or something through like a story that I've experienced, right? So I think that's how like I sort of ideate these things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. What do we got?
Man, I think we wrap it. I mean, I guess we did.
A lot.
We kind of went backwards. We went from like, what makes a good video, to how do you make the good video, to how do you even think about what to make?
Yeah. We went in opposite order.
Yeah. So anybody watching this, you might want to watch this backwards.
Watch it in reverse.
In reverse.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So ideation, script it, shoot it. I don't have a good summary. Cut it up.
Add layers.
Post it.
Just get good at one thing every time you make, like explore different layers, different things to, make the video more engaging.
Yeah.
And then post the thing.
Yeah. Put in a little bit of extra effort. The bar is really low, right? If you just put in a little bit of extra effort to do things like say the hook in the context that you're talking about. So if you're a gym owner, say the hook in front of your gym equipment, like,
right.
Just take the little extra steps to make it just like a little bit better.
Yep.
And focus on giving value to people and be consistent.
Yep.
Yeah.
And do it either through education, entertainment, or inspiration. We just dissected all of social media in like maybe a little over an hour.
Was that an hour?
It was, yeah, I think so. It was a little bit longer than that.
I feel like that was like probably almost 2 hours.
It was maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Wow.
Thanks for listening to another episode, everyone. If you enjoy this podcast, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us at Thanks for the Roll on Instagram and TikTok. Give us 5 stars and write us a review wherever you listen, and share this episode with someone you think would benefit from it. See you next time. Thanks for the roll.
Thanks for the roll.